as you can see, there is, this is up my blog post, conservativelisa.blogspot.com. Please check it out. Love to have you subscribe, comment, do all that sort of stuff. In any case, I have been investigating election fraud for years. In the last few elections, I've realized it's very, very important to keep a very specific record of the vote tallies as the night goes on and as the news media is reporting it, because it's so obviously fraudulent. So I want to give you an example of what the evidence that I uncovered on election night 2012. Not 2012, September 12th, 2017. Now, this is the first screenshot I took of my computer, and this was on the Secretary of State's unofficial website, unofficial results website. They kept updating it as the night went on. This is the first one. It's at 9:09, and it has 49% for Doug Jones and 48% for Roy Moore. Okay, Jones is just up 4,781 votes, and they called it for Doug Jones. Even though earlier in the night it was so real. I was watching Fox News, and the news anchors are saying it looks like it's going to go to Doug Jones, but Doug Jones had never even been ahead all night long. And you're looking at this the opposite down below them in their tallies. So then we move on to, so they call in Doug Jones, and he goes up and makes his little speech and everything. And so then at 9:15, he's only up by 608 votes. That's really when I saw him on the screen. I was like, really? They're calling it for? He's got 608 votes more than Roy Moore. I mean, look at that. 49.24% for Moore, 49.32% for Doug Jones. I mean, that's way too close for them to be calling it. But they called it. They called it. So then, after this is so ridiculous. After Doug Jones had finished his speech, his acceptance speech, I'm refreshing the website, and they report new results at 9:56. And at 9:56, our boy Roy Moore is back up. He's back up. He's up a little over 6,000 votes. 6,152 votes. More than Doug Jones, the fellow we just watched on TV, coming off the stage, shaking hands with everybody with his acceptance speech. It's ridiculous. Roy Moore was ahead it was just ridiculous. So this is at 9:56 p.m. on election night, okay? Roy Moore is up 6,152 votes after they'd already called it for his opponent. So then we see that the Alabama Secretary of State took a full half hour to get Jones back on top by 12,410 votes, which is less than 1% difference. 9.99%, very close. 0.01%, not close enough to be at least 1 full point. Votes to be, but it then took the Alabama Secretary of State just 15 more minutes. So this one was done, as you can see, at 10:29. So half an hour after Roy Moore was clearly ahead by 6,000 votes. Half an hour later, they get it back to where he's 12,410 votes. Doug Jones, the guy had already done his acceptance speech. Then 15 minutes later, he gets up way above the percentage. I think he's at 1.5% points above Roy Moore with 20,715 votes. Now this is a screenshot right here of what it's up there right now. As you can see, it's still at 10:46 p.m. Okay, 15 minutes after the 10:29 p.m. that you see on here, and you can see up here on Fox News that if you zoom in really, really closely, I know this is kind of hard to see. Go to my website and zoom it in, but anyway, it does show that Doug Moore is ahead, and the percentage is 49.4, I think. Anyway, I don't even know if if it even says the same one. It's not matching up. So then there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yet there's these stories that are floating around. I've woke up to check on the status of this recount because Roy Moore has not conceded the vote. Meanwhile, the crooked, evil people in the Republican establishment who never wanted him in and spent millions of dollars to keep him out, they just went ahead and conceded for him. Like, I don't know if that's even legal, but it's pretty cold, and it should show all of us around the country how important it is that we get true conservatives that are going to follow what they say on the they'll enact what they say they're going to enact when they get elected, like our president Donald J. Trump has been doing, because both parties are about as crooked as you could get. So anyway, I'm going to show you. So I put the two links to the two articles, but they're pretty much kind of the same sort of article. I'm going to read it to you. So we're going to click on that, and it'll take you to this article. Breaking: federal judge orders a total recount of Alabama's Senate race. Judge Jonathan Walkenmeyer of the 21st District Federal Court of Appeals has issued a standing order to the Alabama Division of Fair Elections to begin total recount of the 2017 special election between Roy Moore and Doug Jones. According to our source inside the Moore camp, the military and provisional ballots have been counted, which brought the vote close enough to initiate a recount by the Secretary of State. But the Secretary of State refused. Well, as Secretary of State in Alabama's got to be as crooked as the day is long. The Alabama Republican Party informed us in writing that they were conceding the race. Roy Moore's individual concession became moot at that point. This is a quote, I think. State law requires us to destroy all the electronic ballots and put them in a final tally order for certification. They're lucky the judge signed when he did. We were minutes from deleting the data. The data is safe, however, and we will now be used. It will now be used in a recount that experts are saying might just go Roy Moore's way, now that all the military and provisional ballots have been cast. The legalities of the ARP's concession, it's the Alabama Republican Party's concession, is another matter for the courts will have to take up. But Roy Moore may have a friend or two on the circuit. I hope so, considering he used to be a judge. The court recount is scheduled to begin Monday morning and should be completed by Wednesday. So this is on this website, and it's also on, if you go back to mine, let's see, back to my, let's see. And then the other story is this one that's also on my blog, conservativelisa.blogspot.com. This is basically the judge where, according to sources, Moore camp, recount scheduled. I think this is pretty much the same. This is just a repeat of the same other article. So I'd like to get some more corroboration on this, but I did want to show you something. This is a TV show I used to have in Oregon, and I was just hot on the trail of all the investigating election fraud when I ran for office and realized how fraudulent the all vote by mail fraud system is. So let me show you how the news media, I have proof, the news media is complicit in the voter fraud. They are complicit. That's why the anchors on Fox News were saying that it was going to go to Doug Jones way before any of the results on the Secretary of State's website or on their own website showed that he was going to win, because it's rigged. And Oregon, this is what happened.
On election night, it was very bizarre. I was at the Rose Garden watching the returns.
I don't know if you can hear this.
After 8 o'clock when the polls closed, they announced Earl Blumenauer had beaten Jeff Lawrence 70-20.
Okay, I want to take this back. I'm afraid that you might not be able to hear this because I can't remember if I set up the microphones properly. But anyway, you want to go and check this one out. Expose the Vote, Multnomah County. My YouTube website, Lisa Michaels. Please follow it. And YouTube has been censoring my websites, my YouTube channels. I have several of them for years, for at least 10 years, since I was the very first birther to suggest that possibly our previous president was not eligible under the Constitution to be our president. And so they just stopped all the views. So you'll watch it. It'll have the same number of views that it had when you watched it the first time. So just like, for instance, this one has 85 votes. This one over here, this is the complete history of who's in charge and how they implement a lot of the election fraud. And this is 419. Let's see if I go to it and see if it's any higher than 4,000. Oh, this one's gone up to 2,000. So if they tell you the wrong things.
For the past 30.
Let's see, this one, 57. They'll go up one or two.
More evidence that this
to make it look like. But anyway,
first.
Check out those if you really want to know the whole story behind it. This is Judge Moore, what he said.
Abortion, sodomy, and materialism.
He's basically, this is on his channel, Roy Moore for Senate. You want to check that out if you haven't seen it already, that he's not conceding the race and that people aligned against us. And he quotes from the Bible, which we do not. We are not fighting flesh and blood, but we're fighting evil forces, principalities, forces of darkness in Ephesians. So that is, let's see, alrighty, here we go. I've got that float on top. I don't know why that didn't do that. But anyway, so as you can see from that up there, this is a painting, this is a painting that I did to commemorate Ron Wyatt's discovery of the Ark of the Covenant immediately below where Jesus was indeed crucified, where the Bible says it was crucified, which is different than what they tell you when you go over on your little tour in Israel. It's in Golgotha. It looks like Skull Hill, and the blood, when he died, there was an earthquake, cracked the rock. His blood flowed down below into the cave where Jeremiah had hidden the Ark of the Covenant before the Babylonians came in and ransacked Jerusalem. And so he is indeed the final sacrifice, as the Bible states. The Bible's so true, it's just not even funny. But there's a lot of people who don't want you to know the Bible's true because they don't want you to spend eternity in the most glorious place, which is right over there. I did some paintings. I'm doing paintings. The top one is my rendition of what it's like to go into the light when you die, go down that tunnel, and then the people that have been to heaven, the near-death experiences, they say that there's colors we don't even have. So I tried to make it as brightly colored as possible. So that's that. Anyway, check it out. If you have any other news, if the Roy Moore campaign could be a little bit more forthcoming and get some PR out on their Facebook page, on Twitter, that would be very, very helpful. But if there's going to be a recount tomorrow, I would love to have some more notice of it than just those two articles, which one's just a repeat of the other one. Thank you very much and have a very blessed day. Please follow me on my Twitter account, Conservative Lisa 4OR first, I think it is. And this blog, conservativelisa.blogspot.com, if you want to try and find some candidates and help me populate my conservativecrew.blogspot.com. The purpose of that is to get as many people as possible to run in the primaries against both Republicans and Democrats that are conservative, so that we can take out these crooked people once and for all.